Ever found yourself in a heated argument and wished you had the perfect comeback? Today, we are going to unpack that. We're diving into 6 verbal tricks that can make an aggressive person regret their words. The first thing you gotta do when someone's coming at you all hot and bothered is this: stay calm. When you get just as riled up as they are, you're essentially pouring gasoline on a fire. Instead, take a deep breath. Let them rant and rave all they want. Staying calm throws them off balance because they're expecting a fight. Aggressive people thrive on conflict. They want to drag you down to their level. But when you maintain your composure, you're taking away their power. You're showing them that their words don't control you. You can see the situation objectively and respond in a way that doesn't escalate the conflict. Don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you sweat. Aggressive people love to hear themselves talk. So, how do you disrupt that? You ask questions. Targeted questions force them to think and justify their behavior. When you ask questions, you regain control of the conversation. You shift the focus from you to them and their actions. Ask open-ended questions that can't just be answered with a simple yes or no. For example, instead of saying, "Why are you yelling at me?" try, "Can you help me understand why you're so upset?" This approach forces them to articulate their feelings in a more constructive way. When dealing with an aggressive person, the last thing you want to do is point fingers. Blaming them will only make them more defensive and escalate the situation. That's where I statements come in. Instead of saying "you're being so rude," try, "I feel disrespected when you speak to me that way." You're not attacking them, you're simply stating how their behavior makes you feel. When you use I statements, you're taking ownership of your own emotions. They can't tell you how to feel, can they? Plus, using I statements shows that you're willing to take responsibility for your part in the interaction. It creates an atmosphere of respect, even if the other person is being difficult. One way to disarm an aggressive person is to actually agree with them. When someone's on a rampage, they're expecting a fight. So, when you agree with them, even if it's just a small part of what they're saying, you throw them off balance. You're not giving them the fight they're looking for. Now, I'm not saying you should become a doormat and just agree with everything they say. The point is to find a tiny sliver of truth in their words and acknowledge it. For example, you could say, "You know what, you're right, I could have handled that situation better." By finding common ground, even if it's just a sliver, you're opening up the door for a more rational conversation. You're showing them that you're listening and that you're willing to consider their perspective. Dealing with an aggressive person is kind of like dealing with a toddler throwing a tantrum. They're testing your limits. They want to see how far they can push you. That's why it's crucial to set boundaries. You gotta let them know what behavior is acceptable and what's not gonna fly. And you gotta do it in a firm, but calm manner. Setting boundaries isn't about being controlling or bossy, it's about protecting yourself. For example, you could say, "I'm happy to have a conversation with you, but I'm not going to continue this discussion if you keep yelling at me." And if they continue to cross the line, then it's time to walk away. Sometimes the most powerful weapon in your arsenal is silence. That deafening silence that hangs in the air after someone's finished their tirade. It's in those moments of quiet that the aggressive person is forced to confront their own behavior. When you don't react, they're left with nothing but their own thoughts. Silence can be incredibly powerful because it forces the other person to self-reflect. They have to sit there with their own anger, their own frustration, and their own bad behavior. Using silence effectively takes practice, but I guarantee you it's a skill worth mastering. Silence isn't about giving up or giving in, it's about taking back your power. These tricks are not about winning an argument, but about maintaining your peace and making the other person reconsider their approach. You deserve to be treated with respect, and you don't have to tolerate anyone who treats you otherwise.